He humiliated me daily. I smiled until the day I walked away. It had already been a few weeks since I started living with my ex-husband and his wife, who still believed I was his cousin. During my stay, I was the one doing all the housework, cleaning, cooking, basically everything a maid would do. Honestly, I didn't mind, because when you're staying at someone's house, you have to make them want to keep you around. Besides, I had a clear goal, and I knew exactly why I came to this country. I was very respectful toward my ex-husband's wife, even though I still struggled to digest the betrayal I had experienced. Sometimes, I felt like I was suffocating at night hearing the married couple in their bedroom. After all, he was still the only man I had ever known, and the father of my children. How could he live like this with not a trace of regret on his face? Still, I got up every morning and did my best not to break down, for the sake of my children's future. After a while, I asked his wife if she could help me find a little job. She told me she had nothing to offer, so I started wandering around the neighborhood from time to time when they weren't home. I often hung out at the park, where I met a young woman. We quickly became friends and chatted about everything and nothing. We grew so close that she often invited me over to her place, and we'd spend time talking and enjoying her delicious cooking. Eventually, I gathered the courage to tell her I was looking for work. I explained the uncomfortable situation I was in and how urgent it was for me to leave my ex-husband's house. She comforted me like the true friend she had become. She said I was strong for bearing such a burden alone in that house, and promised to do her best to help me. For the first time in this unfamiliar country, I had someone I could lean on. The simple fact that she didn't judge me filled me with so much joy. That night, the tears that streamed down my face were a mix of sadness, joy, and, above all, hope. This generous woman quickly found me a job. I worked Monday through Friday. It took up a lot of my time, and my hosts were not pleased. My ex-husband's wife constantly criticized me. When my ex-husband came home, he would take out his frustration on me because dinner wasn't ready or he saw dust somewhere in the house. He even told me I was living there for free and not giving anything back. He threatened to kick me out. As time went on, he humiliated me more and more, even in front of his wife. I couldn't believe that the father of my children could treat me so cruelly, someone I had shared so much of my life with. Our struggles, our joys, our happiest moments. Were those days just a dream? How could he have changed so much? He raised his voice at me, mocked me, and dismissed me when I tried to explain anything. At work, my days felt shorter. But at home, my evenings were stressful and my nights bitter. One day, the argument escalated so badly that even his wife asked him to calm down and stop talking to his sister like that. He refused and asked me when I was going to leave because he was tired of helping me. It wasn't his obligation. Whenever he spoke to me, I shrank down and stayed humble to avoid provoking him further. I still hadn't saved enough for my small job to afford my own place, and I was terrified he'd throw me out into the cold approaching winter. I stayed quiet and endured everything he put me through. But I made sure it didn't affect my performance at work. I couldn't afford to lose my job, so I worked even harder. I went above and beyond, always smiling and being friendly. Everyone liked me, and I made a close friend at work. She admired my determination so much that she invited me to join an association. My colleague became just as close to me as the neighbor who helped me find the job. Eventually, I opened up to her too, explaining my situation. She said she would help me, and once again, I was amazed at how blessed I was to meet another kind-hearted friend. She told me she couldn't stand what my ex-husband had done to me, and that she would help me for the sake of my children. She added that no human being should live in such conditions, and it broke her heart to know what I was going through. She got me more involved in the association, and I attended every meeting. One day, she told me the association had found me an apartment, and that I could finally leave that toxic house. She said that ever since she learned about my story, she couldn't live in peace until I was out of there. That day, I couldn't pretend to be the strong woman who always smiled like everything was fine. I cried almost all the tears in my body in the arms of this amazing friend God had sent me. When I got home, I gathered my ex-husband and his wife. I told them I had found a place to go and warmly thanked them for their generosity and for hosting me. His wife, although surprised, wished me well and told me to reach out if I ever needed anything. During my entire speech, the father of my children looked arrogant, face tense, eyes filled with hatred I could no longer bear, and he stared at me the whole time, grinding his teeth without saying a word. Once his wife finished speaking, he asked me if I really knew the person who helped me find the apartment and where it was. He kept insisting that I make sure not to cause any problems in this country, and that I knew what I was doing. I told him I knew exactly where I was going. I quickly gathered my things and left immediately. My kind colleague was already waiting for me in her car.